Hey everyone, my name is Meera. Welcome back to my channel. I had been meaning to film a series of vlogs documenting my reading experience of finishing the Shadowhunter series by Cassandra Clare. Just like I love big books, I also love book series that have many books in them. Well, there's like 15-20 of them. And that feels like she's created this entire universe for us to tap into, for us to read stories about so many characters. It just feels really exciting that I have so many books to read about a certain set of characters. Today is the 23rd of Jan. It's almost 12 p.m. and I just finished filming a book review that I'm gonna be editing sometime today evening. It'll probably go up on my channel this Friday. So I just filmed another video. Now I'm gonna have a snack before I sit down to read. If you didn't know this already, putting salt and pepper on slices of apple makes for a fantastic snack. I love food that tastes sour, so if you're like me, I'm pretty sure this is something that's gonna appeal to you. A couple of tasks and a meal later. It's 3 o'clock now and I am starting with City of Bones, which is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series. Now I know that there are a couple of different ways to go about reading all of Cassandra Clare's books, because I believe Emma Books has made a video just about that. So after finishing City of Bones, I'm gonna go check that video out and see in which order I want to be reading all of these books. I know I've read only about 5% of City of Bones, but I have a feeling that I'm not gonna like Jace. He appears too cocky and tries to be such a smart ass. I mean, what's with that? But maybe I'm wrong and he is a nice person or whatever. I have 6 books to figure that out. It's 7 p.m. but I'm still at 5% of City of Bones because I had some errands to run. This day was hectic and I feel like the next couple of days also I'm gonna be busy, so I don't know how much of this series I can finish before the end of this week, but we're gonna try our best. For now, I am gonna unbox this mail that I just got. It is my giveaway prize from the giveaway that Storytel had hosted on Instagram. If you didn't know, Storytel is this app that has a collection of audiobooks and ebooks. So I won this giveaway and I already know what it's gonna be, but let's unbox because that's where the fun is. Suffice it to say that I'm not great at this, and I am always when I get these book mails and things, I am always so paranoid about damaging what's inside that I take forever to unbox it. So here's a pair of orange colored headphones. So this is a perfect gift for those who are really getting into the groove of listening to audiobooks. I love this pair of headphones. I can see myself walking around with this all day long in college, everywhere. Just tuning the people out and listening to more audiobooks. I finished 12% of the book, had dinner. Now it's close to 11 p.m. so I'm gonna get back to reading. That was one of the most smoothest transitions I've ever seen in a fantasy book. What usually tends to happen is that when there are multiple realms and when there are paranormal creatures existing alongside humans, and when the protagonist tends to find out about them, they usually flip out. But not Clary Frey. When she first encounters demons, she doesn't really react as strongly as you think she would. It's not like she's gonna have a breakdown or anything. Yeah, the way she handled everything was pretty impressive. At least I would like to believe that in any kind of modern context, people would be a little open-minded to weird experiences. And you know, because I've seen the Shadowhunter TV shows, I sort of know what Jace and Clary's relationship is going to turn out to be, but I want to know how Cassandra Clare gets to that in the book series and what happens from there on. Good morning. It's been a while since the last clip. 2 days have passed. Yesterday I was sick, so I didn't get any reading done. The day before that I had college, and then in the evening I had gone out So no reading on the 24th either. So you haven't missed any reading updates because of that. Today is the 26th of Jan. It's the Indian Republic Day. And there was a little event in my society, so we were each representing our state, and that's why I'm dressed in this Kerala sari that you can see. That event is done now, so I'm gonna pick up from where I left off on the 23rd. I finished 15% of City of Bones. I got my hands on the audiobook of City of Bones as well, so I'm gonna alternate between the audiobook and the ebook. I'm currently reading the 16th chapter of City of Bones. There are a total of 23 chapters. I am really confident that I can finish it today and get started with City of Ashes right after. It is 6 p.m. It is the 27th of January. Yesterday I finished reading about 32% of the book and then I crashed. And well, I spent half of today reading the rest. One thing I must really commend Cassandra Clare for is that she is really successful in infusing this sense of adventure into her narrative. Usually in fantasy fictions, what happens is that the first couple of chapters are a little slow paced because the author is just exploring the world building and trying to explain this whole system to us. But Cassandra Clare manages to do that as well as keep the plot execution very fast paced. And that engages us all the more. I am really excited to be reading City of Bones and I find it to be tons of fun. I'm not going to form any fixed opinions about these characters just by reading like half of City of Bones because there are so many more books in the series. So I'm going to see how all of their characters develop and evolve over the course of the books. If at all, we don't know. We'll find out as we read the books. And I hope that City of Ashes also follows along on a similar vein and that it doesn't disappoint me. Yikes! That revelation towards the end of City of Bones was all sorts of cringe, particularly because of how Jace and Clary react to it. You don't know, if at all, how their relation is going to mend from there on, and I think that's something we're going to get to see in the next couple of books. It's 11:30 p.m. and I'm done with City of Bones. I've started reading City of Ashes, and something that I really appreciate is that when fantasy sequels pick up right after the end of book 1 or the previous book, it feels like you haven't missed much in between the two books. So that's what City of Ashes does. It picks up soon after what happens towards the end of City of Bones. To sum up my thoughts on City of Bones, I would say that it's definitely well paced. It is definitely action packed. There is quite a bit of adventure. There are definitely some interesting plot points that will keep you hooked to the story. I particularly liked Magnus Bane's character. He adds the much needed sass and drama to the story. I also found him to be a very dependable character. I don't know why I got that sense from the way his character has been portrayed. One other character that I also like is Luke. So I quite like the father-daughter kind of bond that Luke and Clary share. I mean, of course, there was that one point in the story where he was a little bit aloof, and I quite didn't understand that, considering how much he genuinely seems to care for Jocelyn and Clary. So apart from that scene, I really like the fact that Clary has someone like Luke in her life to help guide her and just be there for her. I was glad to see that Alex's opinion or his behavior, mannerism towards Clary sort of improved by the end of City of Bones. He wasn't as standoffish, rude and disdainful towards her. Valentine's character reminded me a lot of Lucius Malfoy from the Harry Potter series. They're the kind of people who consider their race to be the most superior, and so people who are different than them in any way, they consider them inferior, and they've taken it up on themselves as this responsibility to cleanse the society of all these mixed breeds and half breeds according to them. Like I said before, Cassandra Clare's writing is definitely going to keep you hooked to the book because she manages to explore her plot points rather quickly while also explaining this new world that she has created for us, this shadow world. I felt like a lot of the story in City of Bones was driven by the dialogue. There was not a lot of description, which I didn't mind. In fact, I quite liked it because I find that dialogues engage me a lot more, and so I'm able to stay interested and read a lot more when chapters are filled with dialogue. So I am going to be rating City of Bones 4 out of 5 stars because it was definitely an entertaining read. City of Ashes, I've read almost 10% of it, and not as fast paced or action packed as City of Bones because it's just the first 2 chapters of the book, but it's sort of like not recapping what happened in City of Bones, but it's making these connections between the first book and what's happening now. We have been introduced to a new character, Maya, and we learn about how she is connected to everybody and how she is going to be a part of this book because of her involvement in Luke's werewolf pack. One of the major appeal for me about this book series is that it features a diverse range of paranormal creatures. So you're gonna read about vampires, werewolves, fairies, there are certain mentions of mermaids. Then of course there are your shadow hunters who are like demon hunters. So a society or a world in which so many different creatures exist is something that interests me all the more about this series. Tomorrow I have college, and so I'm going to probably only pick up City of Ashes after I get back, that is in the evening, so I don't know how much of it I can finish. And there's also some assignment work that is pending, so maybe I won't be able to read much of City of Ashes tomorrow. We're gonna figure that out. It's the 28th of January. I'm going to be heading to college in a little while. But there were a couple more points about City of Bones that I wanted to mention. So first of all, there are these little hints and these instances of girl on girl hate that is sparked by jealousy. Clary at first doesn't really like Isabel a lot, and you get the feeling that Isabel is also not very friendly and welcoming towards Clary. I had a feeling that was because of Simon. Clary's annoyance stems from the fact that Isabel and Simon begin to hang out. So I would have preferred if their distaste of each other initially was something that had been shown as a result of some other difference in opinion or something like that, and not because Clary is feeling possessive about Simon and threatened by Isabel. Also, I felt that Isabel and Jay's characters were depicted to be a little over the top. In fact, I feel that Isabel's character would have been a lot more realistic, a lot more relatable if this whole kick-ass warrior girl image had been toned down a notch. And I'm not saying that every character in a book needs to be imperfect in order to be more realistic, but people are like that. Like, nobody's perfect, nobody gets every fight right, nobody always comes up at the end of a battle or a war standing so victorious. This is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, just mute the video till you see that the spoiler sign is not on the screen anymore. I finished around 15% of City of Ashes yesterday. One thing that has been irking me a little bit about City of Ashes is that I have a feeling that Clary would not have gotten into a relationship with Simon if she hadn't found out that Jace is her brother. I just had a feeling that Simon would not have stood a chance if Jace and Clary were together, was still involved in each other's lives romantically. So that was just something that bothered me. It felt a little too convenient that just because Clary needed a love interest, Simon was there and he stepped in because Jace was no longer available to be her love interest. Hey, it's the 30th of Jan. I am almost through with City of Ashes. I just have 14% left. I'm gonna finish that on the way to college, and then I'll get started with City of Glass. One of the things that's really commendable about both of these books is that Cassandra Clare knows how to write her action sequences. She doesn't overdo it with a lot of details or anything, but it's just very vividly crafted so that you are able to imagine what's going on, you're able to visualize it. I think I like City of Ashes a little bit better because even though it started out slow, there's a lot of plot development in this book. Many characters undergo a lot of change as compared to what we see in City of Bones. So I'm quite liking that. Okay, there was a slight change in plans. I didn't go to college. The why and how of it is a story for another day. But I did finish City of Ashes and it was so good. It is 2:40 p.m. and I'm 11% done with City of Glass, which is the third book in the Mortal Instruments series. All of City of Bones is just about Clary coming to realize who she actually is and why her mother hid this part of her identity from her for so long. City of Ashes has so much going on in it, and yet I felt like the book didn't last long enough. The Inquisitor is so annoying. What is with her? I just kept wishing that somebody would show her her place in the world. She was just being such a nuisance to everyone. Although City of Ashes is some 400 odd pages long, you don't feel that you've read so many pages because of how fast paced it all is. One of the things that really impressed me about this book is that the author has sort of interspersed all of this narrative with hints of some plot points that we know she would probably be exploring in the future in other books in the series. So when I read those scenes, because I was really eager and excited to know what the author would probably do with this little plot point that she's dropped on us. There were a couple of heart-stopping moments as well. I'm just getting this distinct feeling that there's going to be so much happening in the series from henceforth, but I won't be able to talk to you about it because then if you've not read the first book, that's going to be an issue, isn't it? As for the writing in this book, the chapters are quite long, at least compared to certain other books that I've read. Because there are quite a few fight sequences in this book, the author's writing style definitely becomes a lot more descriptive compared to City of Bones. But it still was it was very well balanced. I didn't feel like at any point it was becoming dull, dreary or too draggy. One of the things that I didn't really like about the book was that I wish she hadn't forced the whole Simon and Clary relationship thing, because it makes you feel more bad for Simon. Very evidently it was something that was forcefully done. You get to understand that Clary has no room for anyone in her heart except for Jace, despite that revelation. The cliffhanger on which City of Ashes ends is definitely one that will make you want to dive into City of Glass immediately, which is what I did. I rated City of Ashes 4 out of 5 stars. It is definitely worth your time, so do pick it up if you haven't done that already. One of the other things that was good to see in City of Ashes was that we read a little bit more about Alec and Isabel's personalities, and Max, their younger brother. Their bond as a family is something very heartwarming. Some more aspects of their personality become apparent for us to see. Although I don't understand Alec's distaste for Clary and Simon, I feel like I'm growing to like his character. Even though I've already started reading City of Glass, I'm going to end this vlog here. If you haven't read it and you're interested in picking it up or not, I still hope that you enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again later. Bye.